Okay, quadratic formula, part 3. Number 6 is actually a star for you. It says, for what values of x does x squared plus 8x plus 5 equal 0? I want you guys to answer me on remind. Number 7, solve the quadratic equation. X squared minus 4x minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so again, the quadratic equation is up on the wall. I want to write it with my blanks first. Negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blankety blank all over 2 blank. And in my blanks, I put 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, and my B is the number negative 4. Negative 4 here, negative 4 there. 2 A's. The A is whatever comes in front of the x squared. Again, if I see one, there is one. There is 1 x squared, and therefore my A is 1. It is never, ever, ever an x. There are never any x's in these blanks. Never. So my A is the number 1. 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and my C is the number negative 6. The C is the constant all by itself, negative 6. Okay. So I have a double negative here. I had the negative that I already had that's just part of the formula, and then I had the negative that B was. This is why we need our parentheses here. This is why we need our blanks, because I don't want you to forget about the negative that was in B just because the formula already had one. All this means is I have a double negative, which will turn into a positive. So this is come up here, a positive 4 plus or minus the square root of, got to find the discriminant, and then 2 times 1 on the bottom is 2. Again, the inside is just the discriminant. Just the discriminant, just the inside here will give me the number 40. 40. Okay. So then I will put into my calculator the square root of 40, and it will simplify the radical for me and tell me that the square root of 40 is equivalent to a 2 and the square root of 10. Okay, so reduce, this is a 2 and the square root of 10. So what I have is, I have a 4 plus or minus the 2 and the square root of 10, and they are both over my denominator, which was the number 2. Okay, so I came from here down to here. Like on the last problem we did, this can be reduced. The 4 over 2 would make the number 2, right? And I still have my plus or minus. The 2 over 2 would reduce and make the number 1. All right, I dotted because you don't need it. I still have the square root of 10. So my answer would be 2 plus or minus the square root of 10. All right. One more problem. Given that f of x, this is just in function notation. It's the same thing as saying y equals, for our purposes right now, f of x equals 5x squared minus 100. This just means it's a function of x, meaning that x is the variable that I'm using. They want me to find x. If I've got to solve for x, I need it to equal 0. This is a quadratic. I do have an x squared. I need it to equal 0 to solve. So what I have is a 5x squared, but I'm missing something. Because I know that my 5 would be my a, but where's my b? Because I need plain old x's. I see no plain x's, and so if I see none, then there are none, and the number that represents none is 0. I have 0 x's, but I have a minus 100. Oh, wrote that in the wrong color. We're going to make it all equal to 0. So my a is 5, my b would be the 0, and my c would be the negative 100. And I will put that into the quadratic formula, because that's what this section is about. So negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blankety blank all over 2 blank. You might wonder why do we need the quadratic formula? You know, on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday? The last lesson, we were solving by factoring. These cannot be factored. If you notice, the answers are not pretty whole numbers. They cannot be factored. There is no add and multiply that will work out for these situations. And that's why we have the quadratic formula. Because there is still an answer, it's just not a whole number. Okay, so back to this. We have 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, 2 A's, 1 C. 2 B's, my B was the number 0. 2 A's, my A was the number 5. And 1 C, and my C was the negative 100. Okay, negative 0, that's just going to be 0, right? Negative 0, positive 0, it's all 0. 0 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 100. You put that in the calculator, it'll give you 2,000. 2,000. And it's all over the 2 times 5, which is the number 10. Okay, so 0 plus or minus the square root of 2,000. Here's the problem. When you try to put this in our class set of calculators, it will not reduce it for you. It gives you a decimal. And as you can see, I'm not working with decimals today. So we won't fret. We know how to break it down. We are going to break down this square root. Yes, we will. So 2,000 breaks down into 2 times 1,000. 2 times 1,000. 2 does not split. 1,000 breaks down into, let's say, 10 times 100. 2 does not split. 10 splits into 2 times 5. 100 splits into 10 times 10. And I'll stop right there because my goal is to get 2 of the same numbers, right? This is a square root. We need pairs. So I could pull out the number 2 because there's 2 of them. I could pull out the number 10 because there's 2 of them. You could break it down all the way to the 2's and the 5's, but we're going to end up at the same place. What's left all by its lonesome inside the house is the 5. So what I'm saying is the square root of 2,000 is going to simplify into 20 and the square root of 5. All right, so what I have is 0 plus or minus, which doesn't make a difference if we add or subtract to 0, 20 over the square root of 5, and it is all over the number 10. No, I was wrong. Yes, it does. All right, so 0 plus 20 over 10 is going to give me, well, let's just reduce. The 20 over the 10, since they are both outside of the radical, they can reduce to just the number 2. So I have the 2, I have the square root of 5, and I still have that plus or minus in the front. Because if I add to 0, it's a positive number. But if I subtract from 0, it's a negative number. So I do still need that plus or minus that was out there. But this is my final answer.